Cornelia Wadsworth Ritchie, Ninia to all who know her, is proud to be named after her great-grandmother, Cornelia, who, with her second husband, John Adair, were adventure travelers to the American West. On one of these trips to Colorado, Ninia's great-grandmother, Cornelia, and Adair met cattleman Charles Goodnight. Inspired by Goodnight's tales of the Palo Duro Canyon in Texas and the land's unique possibilities for a cattle ranch, they rode with him from Pueblo to view the land for themselves and wound up forming a 5-year partnership with Goodnight. The Adairs provided the money and Goodnight the know-how to establish in 1876 the J.A. Ranch, the first ranch in the Texas Panhandle. John Adair's initials became the brand, and after John Adair's death in 1885 and the expiration of the contract with Goodnight in 1887, Cornelia continued to take an intense personal interest in the ranch and its management. Ninia's father, Monty, assumed management of the ranch in 1935 and retired in 1993, having managed the ranch operations with a sustainable profit without any benefit of oil and gas production on the land. Ninia was Monty's only child, and after her mother died when she was 4, he raised her on the ranch. She spent much of her time with the horses and the cowboys and had the privilege of riding along from headquarters on the wagon before it was retired in 1954. Ninia left Texas when she was 10 to continue her education, and she spent much of her time living on or near the ranch in Colorado, which Monty purchased in 1960. Always keen on horses and riding, Ninia's skills and knowledge were developed while riding for 10 years almost exclusively in an English saddle. She was a member of the United States Pony Club, competed in cross-country jumping events, and frequently rode with the Arapahoe Hunt Club on land close to the ranch. A true steward of the land, Ninia has placed the entire Colorado Ranch, located in one of the fastest-growing counties in the nation, Douglas County, under a conservation easement to protect and preserve the land. Ninia returned to the Texas ranch in the early 70s and put away her English saddle. During this time, she honed her knowledge of working cattle with her father and the cowboy crew and became very familiar with the pastures and trails of the ranch, many of which are in the rugged Canyon County. She has lived at or near the ranch ever since. She is now an active part of the management team and works daily on the ranch in some capacity, participating in many of the pasture gatherings and the brandings. Because the J.A. Ranch is as rugged as it is beautiful, much attention needs to be paid to rotating the grazing of the pastures, to controlling the mesquite and juniper, and to improving and expanding the valuable commodity of water for all of the livestock. Much of this work is now being overseen by Ninia's son, Andrew Bivens, the 5th generation of this same family to participate in the management of the ranch. Ninia particularly enjoys being part of the prescribed burns of designated pastures in the spring. The ranch raises its own horses, and she takes a special interest in the band of mares and the choice of a suitable stud to continually improve the remuda. She promotes the continued restoration work necessary on the buildings at the headquarters at Palo Duro, which was designated a National Historic Landmark in 1960. In order to ensure that the ranch history is properly documented and preserved, she has donated many documents, photos, and articles relating to the history of the J.A. Ranch and of her family to the Panhandle Plains Historical Museum at West Texas A&M University in Canyon and the Southwest Collection at Texas Tech University in Lubbock. She and her father also donated 2 headquarters buildings of historical interest to the Ranching Heritage Museum in Lubbock. Of particular interest to many was donation of the original bison herd so loved by Charles and Molly Goodnight. They freely roamed the J.A. until their capture and transfer in 1997 to the Caprock Canyon State Park near Kittiquay. Protected and studied, they are now designated as the official Texas state bison herd. Truly, Ninia is a part of Texas ranching history in determination, perseverance, and pedigree. For her dedication to the land, her knowledge and love of ranching, her skill on a horse, and her commitment to educating future generations, we are proud to welcome Cornelia Wadsworth Ritchie to the National Cowgirl Hall of Fame.
I would like to begin by thanking everyone at the Cowgirl Museum and Hall of Fame for their warm welcome and for all the special events they planned surrounding this year's induction ceremony. I'm extremely honored that I have been selected to be amongst not only this year's inductees, but amongst all the women who have been inducted in years before me. This is the highest accolade of my life, and I accept it with gratitude, pride, and humility. The JA Ranch actually has the unique distinction of having two inductees associated with its history. Charles Goodnight's wife, Mary Ann, also known as Molly, was inducted in 1991. It's because of the efforts and the loyalty of my family, today's management team and cowboy crew, and the many people who have dedicated times of their lives to perpetuating the history of the JA that it's possible for me to be living and working there today. They are my inspiration. In 1976, my father said that nobody or organization succeeds alone in the world. So the fact that we are able this year to celebrate our 100th birthday is due in large part to the wonderful, loyal men and women, leaders who worked with us and for us, men of imagination, men of skill, men of courage, men who braved the elements day and night, men who took pride in their crafts, loved their horses, and understood their cattle, and were eager to enhance the reputation of the JA and proud to be a part of it. He was recognizing and praising, as we still do, all who ride for the brand. One learns as much by observation on a ranch as by the spoken word. I learned most of what I know from my father, but I've also had the privilege of working with legendary cowboys like Joe Ritter, Snook Sparks, Boy Blackwell, Tom Blessingame, and Jiggs Mann. Jiggs and his wife Evelyn still live close to the ranch, and I consider them dear friends. Phew. I seldom choose to travel far from the ranch these days, as I'm so completely content in my life there. Because the Texas ranch is so remote, people often ask me if I don't get lonely, but that's never the case. We're a close community of friends at headquarters, and we often check in with each other. Also, I'm a hands-on kind of person with what I believe to be a strong work ethic and can always find something to do, or better yet, some way to try and make a hand. When there's no cattle work scheduled, I'll go on and check country in my Polaris Ranger, or go on long exploratory walks with my dogs, often probably in the more rugged parts of the ranch, seeking out new trails or old roads. I'd love to come across an Indian campground, but I'm just as pleased to come upon a place of geologic interest, and my windowsills and porches are lined with the treasures I bring home with me. Many changes have been and will continue to be made at the JA, and I see them as all positive. Most of the credit for this goes to my managing partners, my son Andrew Bivens, and my good friends Jay O'Brien and Dale Smith. Their combined managing skills are incorporating JA tradition with more modern-day technology and advancements. It seems like just yesterday I was imparting my knowledge of the ranch to Andrew, and now he's explaining things to me. Yikes. Andrew found a kindred spirit in his wife, Wendy. They were classmates at TCU, Ranch Management Program, and they wed in 2006. Wendy helps at the ranch as often as she can, and we both ride a horse that we love. It's important to Wendy and me that our horses be both affectionate and good cow ponies. And with the birth of their son, Nolan Montgomery Bivens, named after Wendy's father, Nolan Ryan, and Andrew's grandfather, Montgomery Ritchie, the legacy assuredly continues with a sixth generation. Cornelia and my father are cheering from above. Thank you.